What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
And we're back!
That's right. We're damn back again. Episode 3, JC's Pop Culture Podcast. And we've got a shit ton of movie news to get into. We're going to jump into that really quickly. But before I do, just wanted to take a quick second out. Say I appreciate everyone that's listened to the first 2 episodes, whether you tuned in on the audio side there on Spotify, wherever the hell else it is. It's on all the other platforms, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all that good shit. But watching on YouTube as well, really appreciate that. And, if you're a fan of movies, you're a fan of TV shows, be sure to subscribe here to JC's Pop Culture, talking about that type of content all the time, video game news as well, you name it. But this podcast is just kind of a chance for us to, just kind of lay back, chill, talk some movie news that's happened over the past week. And then at the end of the show, I'll wrap it up just talking about, some things that I've watched recently, maybe talk a little bit Super Bowl shit towards the end of this one even, because we got that coming up. But speaking of, that'll be the first thing we talk about here, movie news wise, is what Super Bowl trailers, what Super Bowl spots can we expect to see during the Super Bowl this Sunday? Got that coming up. So let's dive in here onto the movie news, episode 3 of JC's Pop Culture Podcast. Just want to take a second out, say appreciate everyone that's tuned in here and subscribed already, and continuing to grow this community, and just a chill place, man, where people come. We just hang out, talk movies, talk TV shows, whatever. Just get away from the bullshit that happens every day that you got to deal with, politics, your work, your job, all that shit. Put that to the side. Just come here, chill, laid back. Everyone's nice, and just talking movies, chilling out, man. That's what we're going for here on JC's Pop Culture kind of community that we're trying to create. Just hang out, talk some movies and TV shows. And so this podcast gives me a chance to not have to make a short form video where I try and talk about each one of these things. It would just be so hard. So there's a shit ton of movie news that happens throughout a week, guys, and I just try and pick out some of the things that interest me. Hopefully some of you guys are interested in these same topics as well. Cover them here in the front half of the podcast episode, and the back half talk about some stuff that I watched. But coming up this weekend, we know we got the Super Bowl, so we're going to have some Super Bowl commercials. That's always fun. And those also will mean some Super Bowl trailers coming from some of these production companies. And courtesy of the motionpictures.org right here, we got which movie trailers might you see during the Super Bowl, so you guys can know. I know some of these are confirmed. I think Deadpool 3 is officially confirmed for one. That's obviously the one I'm fucking most excited about. You guys know that checked out my most anticipated movies video here on the channel, which if you haven't checked that out already, spoiler alert, it was my most anticipated film for next year. Can't wait for Deadpool 3. Think it's going to be fucking awesome. We're going to get a trailer for that. But let's talk about some other ones that we might get as well. The game is being broadcast on CBS and Paramount Plus. So if Nickelodeon, so is Nickelodeon, which has its Slimecast broadcast skewed towards younger viewers. Nickelodeon going to be broadcasting the Super Bowl as well. If you got kids, maybe let them check it out on Nickelodeon. I think I saw a thing, SpongeBob singing the opening song there, that Sweet Victory song that he did on that one episode and shit. So that's pretty cool as well. I might have to check that out just a little bit to see what the broadcast is like. I watched the playoff games a few years ago on Nickelodeon when they were on there, just to see, full frontal male nudity, as I like to say when I'm fully disclosing, being honest with you guys. I don't really watch a ton of pro sports. I'm a college sports guy, but NFL, I'll watch a little bit of the Panthers. That's my team. I'll watch their games or listen to them when I can. I typically work Sundays because I have my Saturdays off for my college football shit. You guys that may know from other channel, Country Roads Webcast, I cover WVU football over there. I'm here on YouTube and podcast that as well. If you want to check that out, you can. So Sundays, I don't really, pay much attention to NFL until playoffs roll around, but I'm always loving the Super Bowl. Always the commercials are great. And always, I'm a little bit, of a guy that likes to do a little bit of sports betting, throw that out there as well. So maybe towards the end when I talk about the Super Bowl, I'll throw out some of those bets, but I might check out Nickelodeon's broadcast because, I'm a fucking 90s kid, guys. Growing up in the 90s, I watched a shit ton of Nickelodeon. Which I don't have it pulled up as a news story, but as you guys can tell, this podcast is off the rails already. But that's the fun thing about these podcast episodes. You never know where this discussion is going to detail off to. I'll get back to this article momentarily, but it's got my mind going all kinds of ways. Speaking of 90s Nickelodeon, Dan Schneider, we all know the fucking asshole that he is, right? All these reports have come out in the past, but now they're really coming to light. There's going to be a documentary coming out on Max, and I think it's going to be on ID, but it's going to be streaming on Max March 17th and March 18th. Trailers out for it. Quiet on the Set, I believe is the title of it. I might try and do a trailer reaction for it on the channel. I'm going to do a trailer reaction for stop motion horror movie that's coming out. That's probably going to be that might be up on the channel by the time you're listening or watching this podcast. We'll see what happens. But Yeah, anyways, that got me talking about Nickelodeon and some other shit and killed me off. But anyway, back to the movie trailers, guys. That's what the fucking first article we're talking about here is anyway. And we already know that Paramount has booked 3 spots for the Super Bowl for trailers. These 3 spots are believed to be John Krasinski's If, which is coming out May 17th, starring Ryan Reynolds. I believe it's a part animated, part, human interaction type shit there. The one trailer's already dropped for it, so maybe it's a new spot. Ronaldo Marcus Green's biopic, Bob Marley One Love, the Bob Marley biopic that's coming out on Valentine's Day and shit. The trailers for it actually look good. I'm probably going to check that out. Might review it on the channel. We'll see what happens if I'm able to do that or not. And Michael Sarnowski's prequel, A Quiet Place Day One, Super Bowl spot for that. That comes out June 28th, starring Lupita Nyong'o from Us, one of my fucking favorite movies in the past, handful of years. My favorite Jordan Peele movie. I know that's probably fucking blasphemy. Everybody loves Get Out, and I love Get Out too, but I really just Us was something special for me. I don't know if I'm gonna do a Quiet Place Day One trailer reaction. I haven't decided yet. It's a possibility. It might be up on the channel in the future. But like I said, full frontal male nudity, fully disclosing this shit, guys. I haven't watched the second Quiet Place yet, so I'm gonna need to do that before that one comes out. But what I will probably try and do is, sometime in June, early June, I just do a series where I review first Quiet Place movie on the channel, the sequel, and then, of course, the latest one, Quiet Place Day One, after it comes out, try and get a review up on the channel for it as well. But you're probably going to see spots for If, Bob Marley One Love, and A Quiet Place Day One from CBS and Paramount. And then Universal has several big blockbusters. Big blockbusters. Fuck. That's a tongue twister, ain't it? Universal has several big blockbusters on the slate they can promote, including Lee Isaac Chung's Twisters, which comes out July 19th, a sequel to the 1996 classic. You guys know I'm fucking excited for that one. It was hype in my anticipated list. Can't remember what spot it landed at, but I think my anticipation for it's only growing. I'm hearing good talk about it. The original Twister movie is a fucking underrated classic, and you're getting David Cornsweet here in, Twisters. So I'm hyped to see some footage for that. I'm hoping there is a spot for that during the Super Bowl. Sounds like there will be. That's what the reports have been. DreamWorks Animation's Kung Fu Panda 4 coming out March 8th. I've never really watched the Kung Fu Panda movies that I can remember. Maybe the first one. Maybe. I don't know, to be honest. But I'm sure they're funny. Jack Black's a fucking national treasure, right? Dev Patel's directorial debut, Monkey Man, coming out April 5th, which there is already a trailer reaction for that up on the channel. Check that out if you haven't already. And David Leitch's The Fall Guy, coming out May 3rd, starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. Ryan Gosling playing the Fall Guy. I believe that was an old TV series, if I'm not mistaken, right off. And then you can also expect the Super Bowl loving minions to appear in a spot for Despicable Me 4 coming out July 3rd. So that's Universal stuff that you can expect them to put out here on the Super Bowl on Sunday. And then over at Disney, there's a good chance we'll see a spot for Pixar's Inside Out 2, which releases June 14th, the follow up to the 2015 classic. And of course, mentioned it earlier, the hotly anticipated first trailer for Marvel Studios' Deadpool 3, July 26th, which stars Ryan Reynolds as the titular loudmouth superhero and the return of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, which I'm guessing what you'll get is probably like a 30-second spot. Then it'll tell you, head to the online to catch the full trailer, which there's also believed to be, regular trailer, and there's going to fucking be a red band trailer, which has me super excited. It's going to be the first ever Marvel red band trailer, which obviously we know Deadpool 3 is going to have the rated R label. A lot of people were worried about that with it being the first Deadpool movie under the Marvel banner since they've, teamed up with Fox, but sounds like everything's still going according to plan. Hyped to check that out. Hyped to see that red band trailer. And when that shit drops, either Sunday night late or, probably sometime Monday, more likely, I'll have a couple of trailer reactions for some of these up on the channel as well, for the new trailers anyway. And then there's also a good chance we'll get another peek at 20th Century Fox's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which comes out May 10th, which will drop its second trailer. Sony and Warner Brothers haven't secured any Super Bowl slots, even though Warner Brothers has Dune Part 2 coming out on March 1st from Denis Villeneuve. However the hell you pronounce his last name, I'm probably sure I butchered that. I always do. Easy, one of the year's biggest titles. And Amazon MGM is also sitting this Super Bowl out, and it's unclear whether Netflix or Apple will promote any of their big titles. So shout out to motionpictures.org for that info. That's some info on Super Bowl spots. Next up on the docket here for movie news in episode 3. Of course, this one's a few days old now by the time I'm recording this and getting it out. But nonetheless, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this shit, guys. Carl Weathers, a legend. If you're a movie fan, I'm sure you've watched Carl Weathers in something. You've enjoyed him in something. I've enjoyed him in a shit ton of projects. I mean, obviously Rocky. You look at the intro outro video to the channel. I got the moment of him and Schwarzenegger locking arms in Predator. Fucking classic movie moment there. And of course, Happy Gilmore. His performance as Chubbs. You can go on and on. Lando Calrissian, of course, in Star Wars. A fucking living legend. That we lost, unfortunately. And it sucks, man. It does. But with that, I guess one of the cool things was was already had a spot in a Super Bowl ad, and so now that ad gets to be adjusted, and they get to pay homage to him and honor him a little bit, give him some posthumous flowers there after we lost a late great actor. Also, if that's not his accomplishments there aren't fucking impressive enough, let's not forget the shit that he was a football player, a professional football player even before then. So, and you've seen the tributes come pouring out from Sylvester Stallone, Sly, crediting him for the success of Rocky. It wouldn't have been as big without his performance, and that's definitely true. And of course, Adam Sandler. Talk about Happy Gilmore more later because I did watch that after this news. I had to watch something with Carl Weathers, and I'm sure I'll continue to do that, but definitely had to touch on that as well. That's big piece of news. But Hollywood Reporter here coming with the article saying that his Super Bowl ad being adjusted following his death, and it's a FanDuel ad with Rob Gronkowski. Carl Weathers' FanDuel Super Bowl ad is being adjusted following the actor's passing. The online sports gambling platform released a sneak peek in January of the ad, starring former NFL tight end Rob Gronkowski, featuring a cameo from the Rocky star. We are deeply saddened to learn of the passing of Carl Weathers, FanDuel told The Hollywood Reporter. Throughout his life, Carl was an iconic talent who had a profound impact on the people he worked with on and off the screen. The statement continued. FanDuel was fortunate enough to have an ad opportunity to work with him during our Super Bowl campaign. We are adjusting our campaign accordingly out of respect for the family during their time of grief. So that's pretty cool that they're doing that, going out of their way, because we know this is expensive shit, these Super Bowl ads and stuff. So that just shows kind of the impact that he had, that they would be willing to do that for him. And of course, shout out to him and his family, thoughts, prayers, all that good stuff. And we lost a great one, guys. We lost a great one. But moving on here in movie news, got to close that up by saying rest in peace, Carl Weathers, one of the greats. Fucking legend. Staying on the Hollywood Reporter here for this one as well. But Brad Pitt circling the role in Quentin Tarantino's The Movie Critic, believed to reportedly be Quentin Tarantino's final film. I'm hoping that shit's not true, but he's always said he was going to do 10. He considers Kill Bill, one movie. So this would be his 10th. We know it's titled The Movie Critic, and it looks like Brad Pitt and him are going to team up yet again. And that's fucking magical, guys. Inglourious Bastards, like I said, keeping it all full frontal with you guys. I haven't ever seen Inglourious Bastards. That's one Tarantino movie I need to watch. There's a couple movies in his filmography I got to catch up on. One of my all-time favorite directors, feels like fucking blasphemy that I haven't seen. A couple of his best: Inglourious Bastards, Reservoir Dogs, and Kill Bill. Those are the ones that I haven't seen. But either Volume 1 or Volume 2 of Kill Bill, obviously. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, fucking amazing film, I think underrated. But Brad Pitt looks like he could be reuniting with Quentin Tarantino for The Movie Critic, his 10th and apparently final film, sources tell The Hollywood Reporter. The duo collaborated on the shit I just told you about. It's unclear if Pitt has a deal for the Tarantino movie, but the actor will be tied up working on a Formula One racing feature for Apple, and director Joseph Kosinski for much of the rest of the year. Filming on The Movie Critic would then commence either late this year or early 2025. So looks like Tarantino's final film probably not going to release until 2026 at the earliest and shit. So we're waiting on that one for a while, but it looks like he's teaming back up with Brad Pitt, and I'm sure it's going to be a star-studded cast for that shit. And while we're talking about upcoming projects, we learned of a new one recently, and that's Tim Burton going to direct a readaptation, a remake, whatever the fuck you want to call it anymore. They're going back and finding old classics to redo now. It seems like more so they've exhausted, I guess, the 90s and 80s and shit as much as they potentially can at this point, for the most part. Tim Burton to direct Attack of the 50-Foot Woman remake from Gillian Flynn, I guess it is. The classic B movie title Attack of the 50-Foot Woman is getting a remake from Tim Burton and Gillian Flynn. Burton is attached to direct the movie from a script by the Gone Girl scribe. I think I saw rumors since then that Natalie Portman might be attached to be the lead as well. The fucking be the 50-foot woman and shit. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but this for sure is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. Warner Brothers is behind the project, which will be a reimagining of the 1950s genre film. The succinct log line for that earlier film reads, turned into a giantess by an alien, a woman finds her husband in a bar with a floozy. Nathan Juran directed the pick, which was released by Warner's. Burton is set to produce the project with Andrew Mittman and Tommy Harper. Cole Dabashan will executive produce. So Attack of the 50-Foot Woman remake coming from Tim Burton at some point in the future. And speaking of Tim Burton, some shit that I'm more excited about was way up on my fucking list, most anticipated. While we're talking about Tim Burton, may as well talk about this as well that came out since our last episode here on this shitty podcast. I guess I was gonna say on the shit, but it's I never claimed to be good, so we'll call it a shitty podcast, all right? But on this shitty podcast, we talked a little bit about fuck, what was I saying? I don't fucking remember. I don't know. Let me pull this up. It's a Tim Burton movie, guys, that I'm fucking excited about. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I was going with that. I lost my train of thought. But here we go. And fucking obviously it's Beetlejuice, guys. Beetlejuice. I guess I can say now. I had been calling it Beetlejuice 2. I think that's what I called it in my most anticipated movies of 2024 video. But we now have the official title and we got official poster. Came from Warner Brothers since the last podcast. I think that's what I was trying to talk about when I was talking about the shitty podcast a couple seconds ago, however the hell long ago that was. That on since the last episode, we got the news of a release date, a poster, and a title for one of the most anticipated movies for me this year, and one of the most anticipated Tim Burton movies for me in some time. You get Michael Keaton back, you get Winona Ryder back, and you add Jenna Ortega, and now it's Beetlejuice. Clever? Fuck. Clever title. And there you see the poster and the release date, September 6th, guys. That's when this shit's dropping. So hopefully, sometime there shortly after, I'll be able to get a review up. Like I said, you guys, once we get into September, content here doesn't come out as heavy, but I'm going to try and do a better job of that this year, still keeping it up. And one way that I'm going to be able to do that is with this podcast, because no matter what, I should be able to at least have, one thing up a week on the channel with these episodes where I can talk movie news and throw some reviews in at the end if necessary and shit. But going to keep the content coming here on the channel, do a better job. Last year debuted the channel right before the start of fucking college football season, and then it went fucking dead for 4, 5, 6 months. So that lost any traction that I gained over those first couple videos, but trying to get that back here with the past few months since college football season ended. So stick with me here on JC's Pop Culture. Subscribe if you're into movies and TV. We're going to be talking that shit a ton, especially comedy, horror, superheroes, all of that. Beetlejuice certainly falls into almost all three of those, right? And Michael Keaton back, and I think it's funny because now if you get a trilogy, we can have Beetlejuice, and you just keep going on with that shit. But yeah, I'm excited, guys. September 6th, we got Beetlejuice coming. And while I'm pulling up shit on Twitter, how about this shit that came out in the past couple days, right? It had been rumored. Damn, I don't know how long ago that was now. Feels like a month or two. I don't remember exactly. It all fucking runs together anymore, right? But that Pedro Pascal would be, had been cast in the Marvel's Fantastic Four. That's going to be directed by, Matt Shakman, believed to be. He's worked on, several MCU projects lately. He actually worked on It's Always Sunny, one of my all-time favorite comedy series. It's funny that he started there and now has been transitioned into Marvel shit and everything, but he, does a good job. And he's, been attached to Fantastic Four. Well, he shared, let me see if I can pull that up, actually. Hold on. Pull up the actual post here. Okay, so this is the post. You can see up top here towards the middle. This was from Matt Shakman's Instagram, the director of the Fantastic Four movie. And I guess this was on an Instagram story or whatever. But he shares this, which if you're listening on the audio side, I'll, read it off the caption. But it's a picture of, a photoshopped picture, obviously, of Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. And he shared it on his Instagram story. And the caption to the picture says, SAG-AFTRA confirms Pedro Pascal will play Reed Richards in Fantastic Four, which is, the movie that he's directing, and shares that on his Instagram story. If you're watching on the video side, you can see the picture there. And then, funny enough, it starts going around, making the rounds, I guess yesterday it was. And then I get up here, to pull up that shit on Twitter to share it with you guys. And I see this, which if you're seeing on the video side, you can see here. And I'll tell you guys on the audio side what has happened since then. Matt Shackman, the director that shares this, has deleted his Instagram page after revealing that Pedro Pascal will play Reed Richards in Fantastic Four. So, ruh-roh. Hopefully it's not bad news for Matt Shackman. I hope he doesn't lose his job as director of Fantastic Four or anything, but sounds like Kevin Feige or Marvel, Disney, somebody's fucking pissed. They weren't ready for this to come out yet. I'm sure they have certain protocols they like to release this stuff at and certain time frames and shit. And I guess he let the cat out of the bag a little too early, Jim. Seems like they're pissed about it. But we'll see what happens from it. But what we do know is it does seem like Pedro Pascal will play Reed Richards. Seems like that's pretty much confirmed. Maybe we'll get some more Fantastic Four casting leaks. I know the guy that played Eddie in Stranger Things, really heavily rumored for Human Torch as well. That's, all but confirmed as well. So maybe we'll get some confirmation on that. But hopefully Matt Shackman keeps his job. But yeah, that's some interesting fucking Fantastic Four MCU news right now. And the Marvel doesn't need, more fucking controversy and, shit like this. They definitely need some shit to go right, for sure. So we'll see what happens, but kind of a little bit of a saga right now. On some more positive fucking news, though, from this one's from Bloody Disgusting. Alien Romulus. We talked about it in the, I keep referencing the fucking most anticipated movies video, and I swear it's not just because I'm fucking trying to plug it, which I do hope you watch it though. But the reason that I am is because we're talking about a lot of movies coming in 2024, obviously, and we will be here on this podcast a lot, talking about the news for those and, news for projects coming in future years as well. But one of those that I was really excited about is Alien Romulus. Fede Alvarez, directing an Alien movie. That's fucking cool enough. And that was kind of the working title. And we were wondering what the official title would be. And I was like, I think I even mentioned in that video that I hope they keep Alien Romulus. And sounds like that's exactly what they're doing. As you see here a couple days ago from Bloody Disgusting, there's a brand new Alien movie on the way from Evil Dead and Don't Breathe director Fede Alvarez this year. And per Deadline, it's officially now been given the title Alien Romulus. Hell yeah. Alien Romulus currently set to launch into theaters on August 16th, 2024. According to Kaylee Spaney in a recent chat with Variety, the Alien Romulus movie takes place between the first two films. So that's pretty fucking cool. That's what I thought. I knew it had some tie to the first and second one. I thought it was taking place after the second one and disregarding the third because, that was a fucking mess anyways, right? But it's going to take place in between the first two, which is pretty fucking cool as well. So in between Alien and Aliens, it's supposed to slot in between the first and second movie. They brought the same team from Aliens, the James Cameron film. The same people who built those xenoforms actually came on and built ours. That's fucking awesome too. So getting to see the original design with the original people who have been working on these films for 45 plus years has been so much of their life, has been really incredible. So, I mean, this is just positive news for Alien Romulus, guys. Everything that I've heard about this movie is just getting me more excited. The project's been described as an original standalone feature that will focus on a group of young people on a distant worlds. Spaney leads the cast alongside Isabella Merced, who will also be in Superman Legacy, guys, playing Hawkgirl, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right off. David Johnson, Archie Renault, Spike Fern, and Eileen Wu. Fede Alvarez co-wrote the script with Rhodey Syoggs, teamed up with On Evil Dead. That's the 2013 movie. Ridley Scott is on board as a producer, the first movie in the franchise to be released by Disney. That's worrisome, I know, but we've got good news other than that. Turns out that Ridley Scott is a fan of the upcoming installment, so that's positive as well. But yeah, Alien Romulus, guys. We got the fucking title, and hopefully we get a good movie from it as well. Coming in the fall, August 16th, from Fede Alvarez. Let's stick in the horror realm. Let's stick on Bloody Disgusting here. Another article from them about another upcoming horror franchise with another movie coming. And, it's one that Fede Alvarez was fucking involved with previously as the Evil Dead franchise. I know, some people, felt one way about Evil Dead Rise. Some people felt another. I fucking enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, had some good callbacks. And seems like that's what they're going to continue to try and do is just have it, where the Necronomicon shows up in places and it's different locations where Evil Dead tales happen, Deadites show up, and fucked up shit ensues, which I'm all for. We saw it happen, in a high-rise apartment and, parking garage and shit like that in this, most recent Evil Dead Rise film. And we'll see what happens now as we have another one coming from Bloody Disgusting, Sebastian Vanacek, one of the fucking two. I'm not 100% sure. Let's go Vanacek. Sebastian Vanacek directing an official Evil Dead spin-off movie. In the wake of last year's box office hit Evil Dead Rise, the fifth installment in the Sam Raimi created film franchise, which is one of the fucking best and most underrated. I've got to throw that in there. I don't think there's been a bad Evil Dead movie yet, in my opinion. 2013 remake, probably better than Evil Dead Rise, but like I said, I fucking loved Evil Dead Rise. And obviously Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, all fucking fantastic in their own ways. Deadline reports today that Sebastian, which this is a few days ago now at this point, obviously, Sebastian Vanacek has been hired by Sam Raimi and Rob Tappert's Ghost House Pictures to direct an untitled Evil Dead spin-off movie. Details to the film's plot are under wraps, Deadline's notes. So we don't know where this one's taking place yet, but Sebastian Vanacek made his feature debut with Infested just last year. I haven't seen it, but it's similar to what they did with Lee Cronin. Lee Cronin had made a movie that I hadn't heard yet. I believe it was called Hole in the Ground, right? I think that's what that was fucking called. And so he's an up and coming horror director. They bring him on for Evil Dead Rise. So it seems like that might be what they're trying to do here with Ghost House Pictures and with the Evil Dead franchise, is find up and coming horror directors that are doing cool original shit and have them, hey, you want to take the Necronomicon somewhere and make a Evil Dead spinoff and do your own shit with it and see what you come up with. And they're like, fuck yeah. So seems like it worked out well with doing it with Lee Cronin. Hopefully it pays off here with Vanacek as well. The new course for the Evil Dead franchise is for Raimi to hand select up hot. So it's pretty much fucking just saying what I just said. Hot and upcoming filmmakers to put their own spin on the Deadites, which has been working exceedingly well. Fede Alvarez in 2013, they even go all the way back to, and then of course Lee Cronin, which I just talked about. And they go on to talk about Vanacek's movie Infested, which made its debut at Fantastic Fest, and Fantastic Fest gave it 4 out of 5 stars on the review here on Bloody Disgusting. So fucking seems like he's doing good work in horror, so seems like it could be good shit for the Evil Dead. I'm all for it, and I'm all for these horror classic franchises coming back. That's what I fucking love, guys. As much as you hate remakes, reboots, and all that shit, I think it's important for horror to have the classics back. And we're getting that lately. Halloween, Hellraiser, Evil Dead. I'm just waiting. My favorite personally is the big three. Jason, Freddy, Michael. We've got Michael back. They're going to continue that as well. Looks like they're even moving into TV and across film, maybe doing a cinematic universe. Talked about that here in videos on the channel in the past. I'll update that as news progresses. But any of those big horror franchises, especially slashers, that's my fucking cup of tea. I'll be talking about, but I do love Evil Dead as well. So, any news on Nightmare on Elm Street, I'll probably be talking about here. Friday the 13th, Halloween. So, if you're a fan of horror movies, follow here and on the JC's Pop Culture and subscribe if you haven't already. And we got another horror classic franchise to talk about here next up on Movie News. Bloody Disgusting. We're talking about classics coming back. I just provided myself a perfect fucking segue, and that's pretty good for somebody that's not good at this and has this shitty little podcast. But another horror classic could be coming back in the near future, and I'm excited about that because the film that released in 2022, I was one of those that was a big fan of it, which may be in the smaller camp, but fuck it, I enjoyed the movie. And of course, I'm talking about fucking Leatherface, guys. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And from Bloody Disgusting, there is a rumor that has come out lately now. This came out a few days ago. You may have already heard about this since now, or since then. Since now. How you can hear about it since now? That's not even a fucking saying. I'm fucking idiot. But new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie in the works. Here is the latest rumor. Shout out to Bloody Disgusting for this. And, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2022 released on Netflix, looked like we were going to get a sequel to that by the end of it. Spoiler alert, ends with him, approaching the old TCM house. And I really fucking enjoyed that movie, man. It gave us an actual massacre in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Imagine that shit. And it was, Leatherface was just fucking, I don't want to say scary again, but it was how I like Leatherface. I know a lot of people were missing the family and they love that aspect of it and shit. And I get it, but the slasher fan in me, Halloween being my favorite, maybe is just one of the reasons why I love the Leatherface that we got in 2022. Uh, and I think I'm also in the fucking minority that doesn't enjoy Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, guys. I don't fucking like it. It's funny. Yeah, that's cool, but the tone shift wasn't my favorite. I know Toby Hooper will, declare that there's a shit ton of comedy that he meant to have in the original one. It was intended. People didn't pick up on it, whatever he says. I don't give a shit. I didn't really care for TCM 2, so honestly, the 2022 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, it's aside from, the fucking Platinum Dunes '03 remake with Jessica Biel. Oh, Jessica Biel. Dreamweaver. That's that fucking swing, that Wayne's World shit. But anyway, I digress on that. First horror movie I saw in theaters actually was that 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Aside from that, I think the 2022 TCM was my favorite, aside from 1974 and that remake. Sue me. But so I'm hoping that this movie is going to be a sequel to that one. We don't have confirmation on that. We don't even have fucking confirmation that the movie's coming. But if Bloody Disgusting's reporting this, sounds like this shit has legs and we're going to be getting something in the near future. So according to a report from Geek Vibes Nation, which cites movie insider Daniel RPK as its source, which he's been writing a lot of shit in the past, a new movie tentatively titled Texas Chainsaw Legacy, like that title if they're going with it, is in the works. And this is all we know. Pretty much right here is this fucking synopsis, which doesn't tell us, like I said, is it a sequel to the 2022? Is it is it another fucking reboot? I don't know. And this synopsis kind of reads that it could be either way. I keep fucking hitting this microphone. I'm trying something new and holding it in my hand. I hope it's not fucking up the audio quality and it's not going to have a ton of knocks in it. If it does, I'm sorry. Like I said in the past, you can fucking flog me in the street if you ever see me. And really, don't do that. You can beat my ass. I swear. I'm a little bitch. But the film is set to explore the seeming. Damn it! There I go fucking up again. There's another flogging coming from me. Maybe that's a tar and feathering actually. But hopefully the audio is good on this episode 3. If not, we'll get it right, by episode 20 or something. Who knows? But here's the synopsis of the supposed Texas Chainsaw new movie coming. The film is set to explore the seemingly peaceful facade of Oasis Oaks, a gated community in rural Texas. Within the manicured lawns and vigilant security, a protagonist family enjoying suburban bliss becomes entangled in a harrowing battle for survival as they confront the infamous Leatherface and his macabre kin on an abandoned property nearby. So, even the fact that this next paragraph is here tells you that this thing probably has some legs and some TCM shit's probably coming in the near future. So why don't y'all just fucking make it official and release the news already? We normally wouldn't report on rumors such as this one without any confirmation, but Bloody Disgusting has also been hearing that a new TCM movie is indeed in development. They can't confirm the Texas Chainsaw Legacy title or that this synopsis, but they're hoping to learn more soon. But definitely sounds like something's coming from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And if we do get confirmation on it being a sequel to 2022, if we get confirmation on the Texas Chainsaw Legacy title, the synopsis, anything in the near future, I'll drop an update video on JC's Pop Culture channel here, and we'll talk about some Texas Chainsaw Massacre more in the future. But let's move on. Still a few more movie news topics I want to talk about. I know it's a shit ton of movie news this episode, but I won't talk too much about shit I watched lately just to keep this episode, at a decent length for you guys. But this one might be a little bit fucking longer. I know it was a little bit over a week since the last episode, so that's partially why. But also I've rambled on, which I do tend to do. So let's continue on. All right, another upcoming 2024 film, and sometimes you get those. It's always hard when you make that most anticipated films list because, like, you go into it knowing that there's going to be other shit coming out that you don't know about yet, and this is one of those. And we've had a few of those lately. Unfrosted. It's a fucking I don't want to say what the fuck's it called? Dramatic retelling, not a documentary, but I don't know. It's like chronicling the Pop-Tart story. I don't know what the fuck that genre is called. But Jerry Seinfeld, and it's going to be a comedy about, the rise of Pop-Tarts, I guess. And, probably I'm sure Kellogg's involved in there somewhat or whatever, but it's called Unfrosted. I think they even released a little bit of footage. I saw some images, but I'm up for this shit. I think it'll be funny. Seinfeld's, usually funny, obviously. And, who the fuck hasn't eaten Pop-Tarts growing up, especially if you're a 90s kid like me, born in the early 90s. I ate the shit out of Pop-Tarts growing up. Still eat some Pop-Tarts, wild berry, strawberry, my favorite, blueberry, far a little bit behind there. I like the berry flavors, you know. I know a lot of people like brown sugar cinnamon. I think that shit tastes like fucking cardboard. I don't like it. I've never tried the brown sugar cinnamon toasted either though, because I'm usually just a guy eats them straight out the pack. But every now and then I'll pop one in the toaster. Maybe I need to try brown sugar cinnamon toasted, but I'm not gonna buy a fucking whole pack of them just to fucking do that. They do sell the individual ones. I don't know. I'm fucking going down a rabbit hole again. But we got a fucking Pop-Tarts movie coming, and it's going to be released on Netflix. Netflix unwrapped the first footage for Jerry Seinfeld's comedy movie, Unfrosted, the Pop-Tart story. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter. In addition to release dates and first look images, when they were talking about the 2024 slate, the release date will be debut May 3rd. Seinfeld's directorial debut, his feature directorial debut. So Seinfeld's directing as well. I think he's starring in it as well. Yeah, starring Seinfeld, Melissa McCarthy, and Jim Gaffigan. So, you know, 3 comedians. Hopefully that will release. That's not the word I'm looking for. Hopefully that will result. That's the fucking one. Hopefully having those 3 comedians in there will result in some funny shit. But debuting on Netflix May 3rd. Likely we'll get a review up on this on the channel. And, you know, some of these movies that are releasing straight on streaming services, I was, you know, debating on. I'm thinking about maybe doing commentaries for some of them as well, especially ones that I enjoy. Maybe if it's ones that I give a positive review to or something, I'll do commentaries for here on the channel too. But, you know, I'm specifically thinking, you know, Roadhouse is coming out on Prime. Could do that. Got this coming out on Netflix, and there's going to be more coming to streaming services this year. So anyway, the movie focuses on cereal rivals Kellogg's and Post battling to change the breakfast game in the 1960s. The footage can be seen below, so head over to the Hollywood Report article, or I'm sure you can find it on YouTube if you want to check out the footage. But fucking Pop-Tarts movie coming in May on Netflix. All right, and then from Deadline, this I actually haven't even looked at. This is a literal live reaction because I fucking saw a few things in this headline, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm in. And for me, that was, you know, Kevin Williamson's name, which I fucking love Kevin Williamson. Talked about this in the past, I believe. You know, the movie Sick was high on my rankings for last year. Fucking Scream, obviously. I think he's a really talented writer. You know, that TV series, The Following, was good. Usually if Kevin Williamson's involved, especially if it's horror or horror adjacent, especially if it's slasher related with Kevin Williamson, I'm all over that shit. So that caught my attention. And then Rear Window, obviously, Alfred Hitchcock, huge Hitchcock fan, caught my attention as well. But this is just pretty fucking cool. Kevin Williamson sets Rear Window, The Game, and The It Girl series adaptations and The Waterfront under overall deal with Universal TV. So he's making Rear Window adaptation into a TV series, as well as adaptations of The Game and The It Girl, and potentially The Waterfront, which the latter of which I'm not 100% sure of. I do know Rear Window, obviously. You see Kevin Williamson there. Oh, The Game, of course, the David Fincher film. The Game. So that's cool too. That's fucking cool too. So I'm all over these TV series whenever they come. But from Deadline here, an exclusive, prolific TV and film writer, creator Kevin Williamson has set up shop at Universal Television, a division of Universal Studio Group, under an overall deal for Williamson and his production banner Outer Banks Entertainment, which was finalized in December. He already has 4 high-profile projects in development at the TV studio that run the gamut from thriller to murder mystery to a family crime drama. They include Rear Window, a series reimagining of the Alfred Hitchcock classic, which has been set up at Peacock. Oh, hell yeah, Rear Window series with Kevin Williamson coming on Peacock, guys. Fuck yeah. The It Girl, based on Ruth Ware's book, with Sarah L. Thompson co-writing alongside Williamson, and The Waterfront, based on an original concept, have been taken out to the marketplace, I hear. So The Waterfront's original. And the 4th project, The Game, based on the David Fincher film, with the movie's original writers executive producing, is in internal development. So seems like Rear Window will be what we'll be getting the fastest or the quickest or the most recent, or I don't fucking know. Whatever. We'll be getting it before the other, seems like, because it already has a network and everything. So it seems like the Rear Window TV series from Kevin Williamson and Universal on Peacock could be coming in the near future. But pretty cool news here for, you know, series as far as they go, and maybe something that we'll be able to do episode by episode recaps of if it's something that releases weekly. I'm going to try to do that for TV series that I enjoy. I know one that'll be coming up is From. If you guys haven't checked out that series, maybe go watch the first couple of seasons, because when season 3 rolls around, I'm doing episode by episode recaps here on the channel. That's the plan. But Kevin Williamson, got that deal, and we got a Rear Window TV series coming. And then lastly, wrapping up movie news here with some DC shit. And it only feels right that I do that because you guys know um, I'm trying to update the DCU pretty consistently here on the channel. It's casting news comes out about any of the movies or anything like that, and going to continue to do that. So if you're a fan of superhero films, especially on the DC side, and I'm wearing a Marvel hoodie right now, that's because I'm a fan of both companies, guys. I don't consider it a rivalry. I like both things, but I grew up a Superman and Batman fan, especially. So I'm mainly a Superman fan first and foremost, but I'll be updating Superman Legacy in the lead up to its release all the way in 2025 here on the channel. So if you're a fan of DC and Superman, be sure subscribe here to JC's Pop Culture. Want to throw that in. But the last thing here, it's just a tweet, X post, whatever the fuck you call it nowadays, from the @Scream Time account because put this out on January 31st because at that time 1 year ago was when James Gunn officially introduced the upcoming DCU slate, and on January 31st, James Gunn provided another update that stated today Superman Legacy is about to start production. Episodes of Creature Commandos are being finished that will release later this year. So we'll have Creature Commandos coming later this year that I'll be able to review here on the channel, guys. And at least 2 more projects are gearing up to go in the next couple of months. One of those I'm guessing is going to be Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. We'll see what the second one is. Amazing scripts keep coming in, and incredible talent are being attached to new projects, planned and unplanned. And you see some cool pictures there of Creature Commandos, Superman, and James Gunn himself. If you're watching on the video side, that is. But just really exciting there, and I wanted to, share that update as I'll continue to share updates on the DCU here on JC's Pop Culture, and of course Superman Legacy updates in the lead up to those projects. But that's what I wanted to wrap movie news with here on episode 3 of the Pop Culture Podcast. Now let's talk about some shit I watched lately. All right, getting into some shit I watched lately. I'm not pulling up the IMDb pages this week. I know I usually try and share those on the video side for you guys, but fucking the tube of you hit me with the copyright on the old last podcast episode because where I shared the IMDb page and the trailer for Painkiller, I think was one of the things I reviewed was playing, and so fuck it. I'll just talk about it. Maybe I'll throw some images up or something. But if you want to know more about it, you guys got access to IMDb just the way that I do. And plus, a lot of the shit that I'm talking about this week's pretty old. I might share something for one of these things, but I'm not going to talk about a ton or talk for a long time, I guess I should say, because movie news took up a big section of this week's episode. But I'll be back, in a few short days. I'm trying to release next week's episode about Wednesday, so probably less than a week when episode 4 comes out. But episode 3 here, I've watched a few things. Didn't watch a ton since episode 2, but like I said, I talked about earlier talking about Carl Weathers. One of the things I did watch was Happy Gilmore. Had to go back and watch Happy Gilmore. Main reason I wanted to watch that was because of the Chubbs scenes when Chubbs does pass away in the movie, so it was almost I guess therapeutic in a way because seeing Carl Weathers like in heaven as Chubbs there is almost therapeutic, and seeing those scenes it puts him in a different light now. Back then you were laughing at it comedically. Now you're still laughing at the movie, but you're also shedding some tears as well with those end scenes and stuff. And but it's still well done. That's just Adam Sandler at his best was back in those days. Not saying he's not good now. I think he does better with his dramatic performances and his stuff than he does with his comedies anymore. And I think a lot of people would probably agree with that. But Adam Sandler's comedies back in, the 90s, you can't deny Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, Waterboy, all that. And Happy Gilmore is one of the best. I used to always go back, what's better, Happy Gilmore or Billy Madison? And I still don't really know the answer to the question because I think it kind of depends on which one I watched most recently. But Happy Gilmore is, fucking fantastic. And Carl Weathers' performance in it's awesome. It's Mr. Miyagi to Danielson and the Karate Kid to Daniel LaRusso. It's that great mentor performance, but with that comedic aspect, with the fucking wooden hand from the alligator biting it off and shit. And he plays it so well, man. And I never, because I saw Happy Gilmore, before I ever saw Rocky. So I never really realized that was the same person until I was older. And, I started to realize how many iconic roles that he played, and luckily was able to, grasp that before he passed, and start to watch some of his things and realize what a great actor that he was. And hopefully, if you never got the chance to do it before his passing, at least do it now, because Carl Weathers deserves the flowers. And if you haven't seen Happy Gilmore, and you don't know why, maybe you're younger, you don't know why so many people that are my age, 30 and over, mid-30s older, what the fuck ever. It's not age it too much, right? It's not made me seem too old, but love Adam Sandler. It's because some of those old 90s. So go back and watch that shit. And Happy Gilmore, still great, still funny. What else? What else do we got? A couple more things. And this one, I know I'm super late to the party on this one. And I am kicking my own ass for being so late to the party. Speaking of 90s comedies, that's Jim Carrey right there, kicking my own ass. Do you mind? What movie's that from? Do you know? Spoiler alert, it's Liar Liar. But you probably knew that if you're watching this video, if you're listening to this podcast, because you love movies. And if you do, subscribe here. But having said that, it's Ted Lasso. I had not started the series, and I don't know why, really. I didn't know a ton about it, except for it was about soccer. It had Jason Sudeikis, and I'm not a huge soccer fan. I played soccer some growing up. I even played it, 1 year in high school, even though it was never my sport. I was a basketball guy that coincidentally enough always liked watching football on TV more than basketball. But I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole again. But, funny enough, I start the show and learn that Ted Lasso is actually a football coach. And not only is he a football coach, he's a college football coach. And I'm a huge college football fan, so that would have sold me on the show. So if somebody wanted to get me in, I wish they would have told me that. And maybe I'd have got into it sooner. But like I said, I'm kicking my own ass because everything everyone says about this show is true. It's great. It's one of the best shows I've watched in a while. Not only is it hilarious, and what I talk about here with comedies, we don't get a ton of great ones anymore. So that's something that sold me enough, but it has a lot of heart, and it's crafted in a way that I think a lot of shows aren't crafted anymore. And that is just, yes, it's funny and it's vulgar in ways that it's still, like TVMA or would be rated R if it was a movie, which you get that style of comedy that you love that makes you laugh that I personally am a huge fan of. And I've talked about that in the past because it's, what brings me joy. It's what makes you laugh. That's all that matters, right? What you enjoy. And so it gives you that, but also it gives something that I don't think that we really get except for like if you go watch old 80s, 90s sitcoms. And that's like kind of good moral lessons, kind of positive feelings. Like it's going to put you in a fucking good mood if you go watch Ted Lasso. I guarantee it. If you watch Ted Lasso, it's going to put you in a great mood and you're going to wish that there were more people that were like Ted Lasso. Jason Sudeikis' character in this show is a fucking great character. He's well written. And like, that's the person that I think everyone like wishes they were. They wish they were as nice as Ted Lasso and shit. I haven't completed the series, so don't spoil me too much in the comments or anything. But I just finished the first season. I'm a few episodes into the second season. I can actually tell you exactly where I'm at the time of this recording. Just before recording this podcast episode, I watched the episode where Led Tasso made his first appearance, but to me, that really encapsulated so much of why this is a great show, that episode alone. And I'm glad that it did because I was really a huge fan of the first season. And the first few episodes of the second season, I wasn't liking as much until I got to this episode. And it really just brought it right back to, fuck yeah, this season is going to be great too. And I love this show because in that episode where the character of Led Tasso comes out, which Jason Sudeikis' character of Ted Lasso, I'm not going to spoil anything, even though the show's a few years old, because I think everyone deserves to watch this show and experience it for themselves. But he's a super nice guy, very genuine, though. It's not fake. He's just a very genuine person. Hilarious, though, like corny, but in all the good ways, punny, dad jokes, all that shit. But it's hilarious, and Jason Sudeikis plays it perfectly. So the team's going through some shit, and he needs to change up the way that he does shit. And he doesn't, his nice shit's not working right now with the team. So, he tells his assistant coach, what I find out, recently, the guy that plays the assistant coach is the creator of the show, writes a lot of the episodes. He's awesome. So anyway, he tells him, I'm going to turn into that guy. And he's like, who's that guy? And, he tells the other assistant coach, Nate, Led Tasso. And you're like, what the fuck? And so basically you come to find out Led Tasso It's the bizarro version of Ted. He shows up, he's all pissed off. He's got this, mean scowl on his face, and he's the bizarro Ted Lasso, the anti-Ted Lasso. Everything Ted is, he's the opposite, and he's, being a fucking asshole. And so the way that he's doing it, though, because Ted Lasso is so genuine, it's almost like it doesn't make sense. He doesn't know how to be an asshole. So it's probably the hardest I've laughed watching the fucking show was when Ted Lasso comes out. And so that's, midway through this episode. And then the episode happens. And later in the episode, it delivers to the point that at the end of the episode, I'm smiling, but I'm also crying. So within the same episode, I'm laughing my ass off midway through. And then at the end of the episode, I'm smiling and crying because the episode also towards the end delivers a powerful social message and does it in a way that really makes you love another character and makes you, feel for them as well. And to the point that I was literally shedding tears. And that, to me just encapsulates in a fucking nutshell, that's the show in a nutshell. Oh no, this is me in a nutshell. Oh no, I'm in a nutshell. Shout out to Austin Powers. Sorry, I had to do it. But really in a nutshell just shows why that show is so good. And why the writing is so good, how the writing is so good, because it can make you laugh your ass off in one scene. And then, a few scenes later, deliver this, kind of powerful and impactful message and make you cry, but do it in a way that's also going to make you smile at the end and give you all the feel good vibes and put you in the best mood. So it's a show that'll get you emotional, but not in the way that it's making you sad. It's getting you emotional and like happy tears most of the time. I think that it's a show, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling sad, if you wanting something to put you in a better mood, media, movies, TV has the ability to do that. That's why we fucking love it so much. That's why you're watching this episode. If you're watching or listening to this podcast episode, you're like me and you love this shit and you haven't watched Ted Lasso, can't recommend it enough. Do it. It's going to put you in a great mood. Ted Lasso is fucking phenomenal. And then lastly, swear I'll wrap up this episode, guys, after this. The last thing that I watched is a movie that I've been wanting to watch. And, I'm trying to catch up on some films that are nominated for Oscars in, multiple categories that I haven't got a chance to watch because we all fucking know when the Oscars come around, half these movies that are nominated are have only been seen by the people not able to, nominate films for Oscars. We haven't all really had a chance to see them, by the time they come out. So by the time the Oscar roll around next month, I'm trying to catch up on some of those. And, hopefully, maybe next episode or whenever we get closer to those Oscars, we'll talk about some of the nominees because there were some fucking snubs that I'm going to rant about, but I won't divulge on that here on this episode. But I am trying to watch some of those movies. And one of those is American Fiction that I'd heard a lot about. Jeffrey Wright, Cord Jefferson wrote and directed, I believe it's his feature directorial debut. And it was great. Everything that I've heard about it, it may have even been undersold because it really just stuck with me afterwards. And I think one of the things that I was surprised by, I didn't realize that it was like as comedic as it was. It's 100% a satire comedy that's told in the best way. And it's almost funny too, because after watching the movie, I'm going to keep it spoiler free, especially on this one, because it just came out in November. I'm sure a lot of people haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, but when you are presented the opportunity, definitely check it out. You get phenomenal acting from Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown. Sterling K. Brown's fucking hilarious in the movie, but everyone in the movie did great with their performances. But the funniest thing to me after watching the movie, which is an adaptation of a book, the author's name escapes me. I'm sorry, but it's titled the book's titled Erasure. It came out back in 2001, I believe. But the most ironic thing that I kept thinking about after the movie was the fact that, and if you've seen the movie, you'll understand this. And if you haven't, once you watch it, you will. That the most ironic thing is that this movie is nominated for all the Oscars because it's almost like the point that the movie's making. It's a catch-22 though for the Academy because the movie's so well done and well crafted and the performances are so good. You couldn't nominate it, but also by nominating it, you're validating the comments that it's trying to make about you, which are true, 100%. So it is what it is, I guess. But I think that just goes to show yet again, and that's just another check in the movie's corner for why it's so good. But American Fiction, if you haven't checked it out, definitely watch it. Jeffrey Wright stars as a writer. Uh, you know, he's written a few novels. They haven't really sold. He finds another novel that's written. He thinks, I guess the best way to put it is, in a fake way. So he decides to almost in jest, tongue in cheek, kind of mock that and write one that he expects, just to send a message to everyone to let them know how fake this is. Turns out they love it. He starts selling books, blah, blah, blah. Story ensues. I'll keep it as vague as that for you guys because I think you can get that much from reading the synopsis. But a lot of hilarity ensues. It's a heavy, heavy satirical comedy that really lays it down for you in a smart way that will make you laugh, but also will have you really thinking, and it will really stick with you after the movie as well. So I think very well done by Cord Jefferson, Jeffrey Wright, Sterling K. Brown, everyone involved. Certainly deserves the recognition it's getting, and I really enjoyed it. Check out American Fiction if you haven't already. Fucking phenomenal film, and well done. Well done by all those involved. And that's pretty much all I got to talk about. I've watched some other shit as well. Obviously, you see my Clerks hat here. I'm not even supposed to be here today. So I watched Clerks 3. I rewatched Jay and Silent Bob reboot as well. But I don't want to dive in too much on them because one, we're already at about an hour. And so fucking want to keep this under an hour if possible. And two, I eventually want to review all of Kevin Smith's shit on the channel here in the future. Wife's calling, so there's another reason to wrap this up. I have to call her back here momentarily. But definitely, Jay and Silent Bob reboot, I will say I did enjoy it, probably more than most, but not nearly as much as I enjoyed Clerks 3. Super emotional, really fucking well done. That's all I'll say about those because I want to review them further in the channel in the future. But there it is, guys. We made it through. That's what I watched this week. And then Super Bowl coming up Sunday. All I want to say about that, enjoy it, have fun, all that stuff. Enjoy it responsibly, guys. Let's be fucking careful, right? But if you're sports gambling, do that responsibly as well. I don't want to give you betting advice, but I will say I threw a few fun things in there. I always like betting on those Super Bowl novelty bets, the Gatorade color first kickoff to be a touchback, Super Bowl MVP, shit like that's always fun. Had to take my guy, Christian McCaffrey, being the Panthers fan that I am. I'll probably rock my McCaffrey jersey watching the Super Bowl. And I got to say, I'm rooting for the 49ers. I don't fucking like the Chiefs, man. Nothing. It's not the Taylor Swift thing. I actually respect Taylor Swift. She's an awesome artist. My wife's a musician. Taylor Swift works her ass off. That's cool. Don't care about that shit. For me, I'm just not a fan of Mahomes, not a fan of the Chiefs. They're kind of the new Patriots to me. I wasn't a fan of the Patriots, obviously, ever since they beat the Panthers in that Super Bowl. So I'm pulling hard for the 49ers. Think the Chiefs are going to be a tough out, though. Should be a fun game. I've got the money on the 49ers because I like to put, money on the team that I'm cheering for. But, I threw in a few, props that'll be fun as well. So most importantly, looking forward to some trailers. And like I said, once some of those drop, either late Sunday night or most likely on Monday, look for some fun trailer reactions here on the channel. And I should have some of those up for some recent trailers that dropped here probably by the time you're watching this. So, if you enjoyed this, comment down below. Let me know what was your favorite movie news topic. What is something that you're looking forward to in the future, or a piece of movie news that I didn't talk about and that you're interested in, and maybe I'll fucking cover that on episode 4 of the podcast. But other than that, maybe let me know something you watched lately that you enjoyed, since I always wrap this up with stuff I've watched lately. And want to get some more interaction with you guys as the channel grows. Maybe we'll eventually do some live streams where we can chat more, do some Q&A and shit like that, and get some more interesting stuff going. But you guys can help that. If you enjoy movies and TV shows, if you're listening to this on the audio side, subscribe there. But more importantly, hop over here to the YouTube channel where we're getting even more content, because you're getting update videos on movie news, TV news, EA Sports college football news, horror, comedy, superheroes, all that here on the channel, trailer reactions, movie reviews. So definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel here, JC's Pop Culture. I'm JC. Be back here in probably maybe even a little bit less than a week's time, talking some more movie news on Pop Culture Pod episode 4, and talk about some more shit that I've watched and review it. But hope you guys, have a nice week. Hope you guys enjoyed the Super Bowl. Hope it's a fun Sunday. Fucking go 49ers. Hopefully McCaffrey wins MVP. Wins me a little do-re-mi if he does that. And let me know some your guys' favorite bets for the Super Bowl if you're into that type of shit. If you're into sports, because I'm definitely into that. Check out my other channel, Country Roads Webcast, if you're a fan of WVU. That one's a little bit more niche, but this one could be a little bit more widespread, where we can talk movies and TV shows and all kinds of pop culture shit. And I'll be putting out all kinds of pop culture content on the channel. We'll be talking all kinds of pop culture shit here on the podcast as well. But appreciate you guys tuning in this one. Looking forward to the next one. Sure as fuck hope you guys all are all as well. As you guys know, stumbled over my words a ton through this one. Time to wrap it up. I won't stumble over them anymore, hopefully, but hope you have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever the hell you're listening to this podcast episode. I'll see you again on the next episode of JC's Pop Culture Pod in the future. As always, I'm JC. Later, film fans.